Hello, Lieutenant Jones, Utah County Sheriff's Office. Back at you again. I'm here today with Sergeant Spencer Cannon, also from the Utah County Sheriff's Office. Say hello, Spencer.
Hello, Spencer.
He says that well. It's been a minute, Spencer.
It's been too long of a minute.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people complaining that we haven't been doing this enough. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that are complaining that we do it too much. Either way, we're going to do this. So, Spencer, I got a little bit older since this happened.
Yeah, since we last did a video, both of us did. But I hit a pretty major milestone since we did our last video.
Milestone? Did it hurt?
Well, some would say it does. I would probably agree in some ways.
Better a milestone than a millstone?
Better a milestone than a millstone.
So what was that milestone?
I turned 60.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that's a pretty big milestone.
60.
Maybe I can get the senior discount at IHOP.
Oh, that's nice. I don't think you can yet.
That'd be worth turning 60 if that's what it
So the
is.
question for the day is, what year were you born?
1960.
1960. So that brings me to my next point. Would it be a problem if we drove a 1961 Oldsmobile on patrol?
Oh my goodness.
Effective?
I could see a lot of problems with that.
Why?
Safety for one.
Safety? They didn't even have seatbelts back then, did they?
No. Seatbelts might have been coming along, but they were not mandatory until I think 1966.
Nice. Well, the fact of the matter is that today, the Utah County Sheriff's Office airplane that we use on a regular basis was built in 1961.
I'm barely older than the airplane we fly.
I have no comment to that. However, I think there's some danger involved in that, maybe. I don't know.
I think they're very careful with it, but yeah, there certainly could be some dangers driving a 59-year-old, almost 60-year-old airplane. Driving, I guess you fly airplanes.
You can drive it if you want, but probably just on the ground. So, any ideas how to change that?
You cannot make the airplane newer. You can put newer, better quality parts into the airplane, which they've done a lot over the years.
I believe it's had 3 engines or 2 engines replaced.
It had the original engine, and since we got it, it's had two engine replacements.
So what do you suggest?
Well, it might seem reasonable at some point to get another one.
A safer one.
A safer one.
That's what we're here for today. We're going to ask the public for a little help, because we have a certain amount of funding set aside to fund an airplane, but it's a little shortfall. We have a little bit of area that we need to cover. So, you want to explain that to them?
Yeah, the airplane that we have now, it's a 1961 Cessna 180. For those who understand aviation stuff, it's a tail dragger. That means the wheels up front are on the ground, and instead of the third wheel in front of those 2 on the ground, it's behind, and it sits at an angle as it's going down the runway as it's taxiing. Levels out obviously when it flies, but it's a tail dragger. But this one is really old. It's nearly 60 years old. It has a lot of expenses involved in taking care of it. Over the years, it has had propellers replaced. It's had 2 engines replaced since we got it. When we got it, it had 2,372 hours on it. That was in 1993 when we obtained it, so it was already 32 years old when we got it. It now has 7,620 hours on it, which is more than 5,000 hours more than it had when we purchased it back in 1993. It was bought out of government surplus in Maine. It has had throttle cables, rusted out seats, propellers, and engines, and a lot of other things replaced on it to make it so that it remains airworthy. And it is airworthy and safe to fly, but those kinds of repairs are having to happen more frequently now than they had in the past.
See, I'm 51 and I've got to have my elbow replaced. So, and you have shoulder issues, right?
I've had shoulder issues, yes.
I'm glad they don't try to sell us, but they are probably eventually going to. So the fact of the matter is, we need a new airplane. How much short are we?
We are. The numbers are that the plane that they've looked at is I'm going to read this here so I get it right. It's a new Carbon Cub airplane, CubCrafter FX-3 model airplane. It also is a tail dragger. The cost of that is estimated to be about $326,000. When we surplus the 1961 Cessna that we have now, which will still have some value to somebody in some functions, We estimate we'll be able to get about $120,000 out of that. We hope to get funds from the county, revenue in the neighborhood of $125,000 to $150,000 to help pay for the airplane, and then we would need to raise donations in the amount of roughly $75,000 to $80,000. So that's where we're estimating that the shortfall is going to be, and that we're hoping to get somebody out there or some group of people that want to help with this by giving donations.
This is a life-saving device. It saves lives on searches. It saves lives when we're trying to apprehend people. It's a very effective tool, and I think it's a necessary tool for a county this size.
It really is. In Utah County, we got a population overall of about 600,000 people. The sheriff's office is responsible for a lot of things. Search and rescue is one of them statutorily, which the sheriff's office is responsible for, and it's used probably the most in search and rescue operations. But it's also used for our bomb squad in transporting bomb technicians and equipment to remote locations throughout the state when they have a need for that. Narcotics operations, judicial services, when they have extraditions to do, they'll use it for that. It's used in SWAT operations. It's used for aerial surveys and emergency management during and after disasters to evaluate the extent of impact of damage and things from maybe floods or mudslides or fires and things like that. So it's a critical piece of equipment.
So if you're still listening, if you're still watching, we appreciate you suffering.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if that's so, any help we can get, any ideas, any methods, we're open. Any help we can get.
Yeah, this is a very, very worthwhile cause. It's a critically important piece of equipment for the sheriff's office and the benefit that it provides to the public.
And there's the phone. With that said, we're going to answer the phone. Don't do bad things. Always do good things.